Good afternoon, and welcome back to Live Lunch and Learn. I'm your host, Lambros Demos, and this month we celebrate women, which is quite fitting because my guest today helps women find their sparkle, especially after they've experienced some kind of trauma in their lives, be it physical, mental, or emotional. Dina Lobo Lewis has been through that trauma, and she's here today to share her story and perhaps also help others overcome the mental and emotional roadblocks uh, in their lives so they can actually live the life that they truly deserve unapologetically. Welcome to the program, Dina.
Hi, Lambros. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
You know, I love that word unapologetically. I pulled it from your LinkedIn bio, and it's such a powerful word, because to me, women shouldn't feel guilty about their success, right? They shouldn't, be ashamed or have to apologize, so to speak, for living their best life, or even if that means removing people from their lives, that don't serve them well, or things from their lives, right? Would you agree with that?
Definitely, Lambros. As women, we're so conditioned to just keep giving, giving, giving. Receiving is very hard. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the case for myself for a very long time.
Yeah.
I realized that I had these multiple, identities where I felt like I was really happy all the time from the outside, but I
Yeah.
was not able to emotionally connect to myself. And therefore, I was operating from that resentment, grief, and that
Yeah.
followed people pleasing. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of women do. Last week, I had something called as transformational challenge for the women, right?
Okay.
And 11 out of 12 women, it was quite alarming and it was beautiful experience, but 11 out of 12 women told me that when I spoke about self-love, putting themselves first, honoring their feelings, it was not the case. They felt so uncomfortable. They're like,
Wow.
Dina, this is not possible. And
Yeah.
so this is something that it is a small number, yes, but if 11 out of 12 women feel that, I felt that, a lot of my clients feel that, and
Yeah.
a lot of people do. So today we need to understand, in order, we cannot operate from an empty cup, like, starving that need of love and connection within us.
Yeah.
It is so important to emotionally connect and embrace our realities wherever we are. So when I hit my rock bottom, that
Mm-hmm.
was 2 3 years ago, where I
Okay.
realized that I still had a lot of things that I had to work on with my current relationship as well, that I was carrying on a lot of trauma from the past,
Okay.
feeling relationships, or, from my family, where I was not emotionally connect to people. And I was holding on to a lot of things. And therefore, I used to get something called as inflammation, which led to surgeries, and it was very complicated. So the trauma that I've been through
Mm-hmm.
is over 5 6 years, and it was very scary for me to become a mom. you
Okay.
know I was like, how can I get pregnant? What if I have to go through these surgeries multiple times?
Yeah.
But my constant narrative was, Dina, you are not deserving of this. You're not good enough. You cannot be a mom.
Mm.
So, Lambros, I had to just think about, what experience do I need to have in my life? How can I put my emotions and gather them and think about, how can I change my reality and have a positive spin? When
Mm-hmm.
I was able to transform myself and have that positive spin by just taking small actionable steps, by having a positive thought, connecting with that emotion of having that baby in my arms,
Right.
and having that family as a, feeling that love and connection with my baby, everything changed. So today it's all about having a new perspective to life. We can all transform our traumas into treasure and take
Wow.
off.
Wow. That's incredibly powerful. Trauma into treasure. I love that. I love that. So, would you say the birth of your child was the turning point? Was that the impetus of your
Partially,
change?
that was,
Yeah.
yes, that was my turning point, because before I had her, I had to go through different surgeries, make sure that I was able to carry this baby. And
Mm.
throughout my 9 months, I had emergency situations. I was bleeding. It was horrible. Like, my
Wow.
doctor even told me, you have to be mentally prepared. You cannot have this baby. And I was
Wow.
already going through a lot of trauma, but
Wow.
this was an additional trauma that I had to go through, which was very scary.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, it was COVID. right? Having a baby during COVID was another additional layer to that trauma
Absolutely.
that I was already carrying to.
That's right.
And thank God I had a wonderful support system, my family, my husband, everything were, it worked out perfectly because what I did was I was working on myself every single day throughout that healing process, right?
Mhm.
So today, what I tell women is the power is within us. We cannot, if we cannot see what areas that needs our improvement, we cannot measure our success. So being strong and vulnerable at the same time is equally really important, right?
Yeah.
So ask yourself, what are the areas in your life needs improvement? It's all about embracing those dark pieces. If I was not able to embrace those dark pieces in my life, I was not able to connect to my purpose today in impacting
Wow.
hundreds of lives, Lambros. So it is so important to understand that part and
Yeah. Yeah.
embrace that. As women, we just try to push it. We don't want to deal with the pain. But today, what I teach women is you have to deal with the bad stuff to get to the good stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's amazing. I'm glad you said that. Wow. Wow. Just some powerful stuff there. And so, but tell me a little bit more about the transition that you made, because now, I mean, you're obviously very passionate about what you do, and you're helping others. And you mentioned the support system, but I want to know, who was the most influential person to you? Like, who helped you? This is what you do now. You help others overcome that trauma, but who helped you when you were
Yeah.
making the transformation?
So I would say it is connecting to my divinity. So I felt for the longest time being in the survival mode that I
Okay.
was just running in the autopilot. There's
Okay.
this beautiful divinity in each one of us. That is the soul. So what I was doing is just taking care of my physical appearance. But what
Mhm.
we've been taught to do is we
Yeah.
have a problem that needs to be fixed. But today we have to understand if you're constantly in the survival mode,
Yeah.
it's your physiological reaction. So don't beat yourself for showing that anger, showing that frustration, telling people how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just how we are wired. When I understood that it is equally important not just to take care of my physical appearance, but to
Mhm.
connect to my divinity and my soul, who's so inspiring,
Yeah.
that is when I got connected to my purpose work. That is when I realized, Dean, I always had this entrepreneurial spirit. As
Mhm.
a child, me and my siblings, we have spent days helping kids who've been through autoimmune disease, kids who've been through a lot, not a very big lifespan, but they wanted to learn, they wanted to have that creative side. But
Right.
what I realized was, as a kid, I've been brought in a very punitive environment where you have to be good at every little thing, and
Okay.
that did not fly for me. As an
Yeah.
adult, I was still carrying that piece where rules came before relationships.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was the biggest one. So when I got connected to my divinity, I knew that, Dina, I was meant to touch people in much deeper levels than just helping people in the finances world, being
Yeah.
financial manager at the bank. And
Okay.
so that is when I started to heal my trauma. I became a 11 authenticity practitioner and then a transformational coach. And then that was not just enough for me. I wanted to learn more about brain. I wanted to learn more about what happens when you're actively having the trauma, right?
Yeah.
You feel like you are working really hard, but you still feel like you're running in this hamster wheel. You feel stuck because you have these imagined threat and fears. You
That's right.
constantly, your narrative is negative day after day. So how can that change? And that is when I became a trauma support specialist. So today I really help women to find that sparkle within them because the power is within us. I
That's
help them
amazing.
embrace, those dark pieces in their lives
Yeah.
and help them to understand that pain, right?
Yeah.
It's about, ironically, sometimes, Lambros, it's about forgiving ourselves too. That is the most hard part. Yeah, the
Excellent.
hardest
Yeah.
thing.
I'm glad you mentioned that, actually. I'm really happy you mentioned that, um, because that leads me to another question. Because one kind of trauma would be being in a toxic relationship, right?
Yes.
And obviously, I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but if someone's in a toxic relationship, they find it hard to leave, right? So maybe they don't forgive themselves, maybe they don't find the confidence to do that. So what would you say to someone who's in that kind of relationship, who either doesn't know how to leave or keeps making excuses of not wanting
Yeah.
to leave? kind of thing?
So I do have women whom I help in those situations as well. The first thing is, of course, you cannot rewind what has happened, but
Mm.
you have to grieve the loss. See, when I went through those stages of bad relationships in the past, or, even
Yeah.
like not able to fully connect to myself and having
Yeah.
trusting other people because I couldn't trust myself that I'm
Mm.
deserving of this. The
Yeah.
first thing is I had to grieve that loss. What I
Mm.
knew all this time is grieving is only when you lost your loved ones. No, when you have lost something in your life, like, it could be relationship, it could be partnership, it could be your health, it could be a job that you're looking for. This important piece is you're acknowledging that pain. And forgiveness is a huge thing. That is, you have these dark cloud pieces in there, which seems quite heavy. But when you commit to forgive and let go, which is a process, yes, you just feel like so much calm, lighter, happier. Of course, it's not that situation that drives the motivation to forgive you. It's not about them or the event, it's about you and your future that is
Okay.
in front of you. Yeah, so
Amazing.
what I would say is a simple exercise of forgiveness, right? Usually, it is okay. You have to be upset. Yes, you have to acknowledge the pain. So write down what are the names that you have to forget and write your name down as well. That is very important. You have to forgive yourself too, as well, for not trusting yourself or not believing yourself. And then write down the next letter. Write down what are you upset about, right? And then say I forgive you. It's all about letting go of this person, this event, this thing that is not serving me anything. We are
Mhm.
so wired to put our energy into what is. That is the problem, right? And
Mm.
then those are the thoughts. Our behaviors are based on that negative reaction day after day after day. So you can imagine the pain is a constant visitor. When that really happens, it's like we turn from Bruce Banner to being Hulk. There
Yeah.
is no change that is happening in the Hulk mode. So it is very important for us to regulate, to
Yeah.
do these simple exercises every day,
Yeah.
telling that you love yourself
Yeah.
wherever you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a question here. Just going to bring it up on the screen from Sandra. We are the hardest on ourselves, which is why it is so difficult to forgive ourselves, which is very true, which is what you were just saying, right?
Yes. Yes. So, Sandra, thank you for this question. What I would say is, yes, it is very hard to forgive ourselves, ironically. So, where do we begin, right? So, every day we've been through so many challenges. So, the first thing that I tell my client is loving yourself probably could be something far off, but how about you start the simple thing, walking up to the mirror, looking into reflection, and just listening, looking, and just paying attention to what she has to tell you, right? Just that exercise, the first 2 days will be hard. It'll be like, oh my God, what is Dina telling me to do? Keep doing. Amazing things come up. That younger self of you will tell you exactly what she needs. And then you just start talking to her as a friend. And that is how you start building trust back again. If you are not able to forgive yourself, first you just look into the reflection. Pay attention to what does she feel like right now? How can I make her happy? Right? And then once you start building the trust, you will now know it is time for you to forgive and let go. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, I love that. That's great. Thank you, Sandra, for the comment, and thank you, Dina. That was amazing. You know, so let me ask you then about if someone is still finding it difficult, and let's say they have some family and friends who are concerned about them. You know, I mean, that's a fine line because you can't just go in and take them out of that toxic relationship, especially if they keep making excuses. So, well, how do family and friends react to this? Like, what would you say to them? What is their best course of action in
Yeah.
a situation like that?
So I think setting boundaries when we talk about this is very important. So if you're
Mhm.
going to any event and you feel like there are certain people that are draining your energy, right? That is,
Yeah.
you feel like they emotionally drain you.
Hmm.
First of all, you have to mentally prepare because you can't take these people out of your, out of your surroundings because you're your family and friends.
Certainly.
Ask yourself, what is the experience that I want to have in this gathering, right?
Okay.
And then, if in case one of the ways, you don't have to be a people pleaser and, oh, this person feels this way, let me honor their feeling. No, no, no. Let it not come from that guilt and resentment and shame. Honor how you feel. If you feel like someone is just walking all over you, you just have to draw the line and say that, oh, I'm sorry you brought this up. You feel that way, but I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Right? This is how you deal with just not explaining more and just saying that, I'm sorry that you feel this way, but I don't.
Yeah.
And no is a complete statement. You don't have to always explain, but start with these little things, little statements like these, because now you're not just putting them off, but you're telling them that, hey, I don't want to, rather I not talk about this because this is not something that I'm interested or focused on. And then you just talk about something else. So you don't entangle with that toxic energy. You maintain a boundary for yourself.
Excellent. So yeah, that's for themselves. But if they need help, and let's say as an outsider, right, somebody who has a family member in this bad relationship, and they don't know how to deal with it. So I'm just saying, how does the family and friends support this person without being too intrusive, or without, because it could backfire, right? Because they could turn around on their family friends who are concerned about them.
Yes.
So they need to know how to deal with it as well.
Yes. So emotional mental state is very, very important, especially when you're actively going through the toxic stress, or you're having an adversity, or it could be a relationship that it's not working out. Seeking support is very important. It could come from a person that you trust. It could be a family member who's motivating you, who's holding your hand. You definitely need a support system. A coach like me would definitely help you in this way, because now you need to have your modalities, because your life need not look like a roller coaster. When you hit your rock bottom, you need to have those modalities to get yourself back up, right? To swing those punches in, and then again feel like, hey, I need to stand up tall, because I have responsibilities. If you're a single mom, right, and you have kids to take care of, right? As kids, they just absorb everything they see. And leading by example is really hard when you are constantly going through this active stress. So the support system is really, really important at that point in time, Lambros.
Certainly is. That was amazing, Dina. So speaking of support system, and so tell us a little bit about what you do, like Transformational Spark. How does that work?
Yeah. So with Transformational Spark coaching, what I help women with is, it's a 90-day program. Of course, I do group coaching as well as one-on-one coaching. Okay. So we have different modalities to support you. The first 6 weeks are really understanding about yourself, who you are as a person. What are your attributes, right? What is your threat response system looks like? What are your adaptation mitigation stages? When you have that thought that triggers you, what are different personalities that you come up with? Angry Dina, mean Dina, I want to shut down, I don't want to speak up. Right? So we really do that kind of healing, and I walk you through that process of understanding you. And then the next six weeks are the advanced ways to connect all the pieces: your emotional state, your mental state, your relational aspect to yourself and others. So that's why I call it as a transformational, because we hit all angles. So that by the end of 12 weeks, you have all of this in front of you, to not just lose it all on a relaxed environment, but to gather your thoughts and to help you self-regulate. You know how to deal with your emotional state, and you know how to control your reality, because it's all about what kind of reality you want to have, what kind of experience you want to have in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And if someone's interested and wants to know more, they can visit your link. I think you have a website.
Yes, please. Lambros has it over here. It's transformationalspark.ca. So I do have 5-day challenges that I host. So it's about 5 hours of free content that each of you can have, definitely. And please follow me on LinkedIn. It's Dina Lobo. And
And I think you also have a Calendly link, so we'll.
Yes, I would love to have a free, virtual chat and see how I can help you, right? and see if we are a good fit to work together. There is a Calendly link that I can drop as well.
We'll put that in the comments. So for whoever's watching this live, just bear with us for a minute. Once we're off the air, then I'll drop it in the comments there. So just watch for that in the replays as well.
Yes. And I also wanted to mention that, dreaming is possible. Like I helped one of this client 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
who has been through the trauma, who's healed the relationship, and she's dreaming again. She's a single mom, and she knows that she has a dreams to, purchase her home and to get starting to, change her priorities in life. And that is possible. I know at Lambros, you possibly help a lot of single moms with buying houses, correct?
Well, it's more of a financial thing right now, because just the price of homes are ridiculous.
Yes.
That aside, I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because once you have that confidence, once you turn your life around, you can do things like buy a home, or even rent a home. Just being on your own, you don't need all that other toxic stuff around you. You don't need to be with someone, right? If you can make it on your own, I think that would be very fulfilling to somebody, right? Especially a woman. Right.
Yes, because it's so much fun when, my clients say, Dina, I'm starting to dream again in like 15 years of those toxic relationships that I've been living in. But now I know I have so much power within me, now that it's not that my programming is operating, I'm consciously thinking what I love to do, what I enjoy to do, and I love to become an owner again of the house, right? So when I listen to all of that, it just like makes me so happy that yes, we can all start dreaming again of beautiful things that we can all have in life, right?
Yeah, I love that.
All start today.
Absolutely. Starts with a dream. That's great. Thank you so much, Dina. This was amazing. You're a wonderful guest, and thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes.
And thank you all for watching. Take care. Have a good day, everybody.